Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Joining me today is Phil Thampy, who is Director of Retail and Service Operations for Best Buy in Canada. Thanks, Phil, for joining us today.
It's great being here.
Let's talk about the past 2 years. First of all, for every retailer out there, for every business out there, pandemic has had some impact on their operations. Tell me what the impact on business has been at Best Buy for the past two and a bit years.
Wow, it's as you can imagine, it's been a pretty incredibly challenging time, but as well as some amazing things that happened through the past couple of years. And I'll say that it's been a privilege for me to be working with some great team members, both at the office as well as in the stores, that had to evolve and change and adapt. And it's really the focus around safety, both for our customers as well as our employees, right? So pivoting constantly and adapting to changing regulations or customer demand, it's been an amazing journey for the past couple of years.
So how has Best Buy adapted to the changing consumer environment?
Well, so during the pandemic, we really introduced a lot of different operating models, right? We went from, whether we were operating in front of the store or curbside, there's been a lot of different iterations of it. Again, keeping safety at the forefront of it. And then throughout these different models, starting from like March 2020, we've continued to enrich lives through technology. That's our purpose, right? And that comes in different ways, whether it's in the store and whether we are fulfilling online demand. Customers really needed technology to get through their daily lives, and we kind of really looked at how do we fulfill some of that demand and adapted to those changes, right? So now we continue that evolution as we come out of or come towards some sort of normalcy. We're trying to see where are consumers looking for help and support, and where are the demands coming from, and try to evolve that. So we have introduced a new small format concept in Edmonton, which is sort of our test. We are trying to see how consumers are responding to it. It's been great so far. In trying to get a easy way to shop rather than going into a bigger box. It's more, think about it as a neighborhood store, so you can place an order, go quickly, pick it up, in and out, rather than have to browse through and figure out what you're trying to purchase. So that's where we are today.
Okay, what are some of the specific new ways of doing business that Best Buy has launched, say, in the past 2 years?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, I mean, there's been a lot of change, right? So at Best Buy, our primary objective is to provide customers with options to shop how and when they want it. And that continues to change again through the pandemic. People adapted certain things, and then as things started to change, people gravitated towards something different. So it's been an evolution through and through, right? As we were preparing, the different areas of our business, we tried to look for where the demand is coming from and see what we need to do. And again, like I said, our small format is really where we see the evolution coming from, because we've done a lot of work in terms of our existing store network, as well as our online demand, trying to pair up our stores with the demand that comes online. So we do a lot of shipping from store to the consumer directly, so it's closer, easier to get the product to the customer. Now we are really thinking about, okay, customers are starting to come back to the store and they want to get a different experience. What does that different experience look like? And the small format is sort of where we're honing in, because it's a curated inventory collection. It's a convenient shopping methodology, and it's easy to get some assistance really quick. That's our focus, and that's where we're evolving.
All right, super. So what do you think the consumer of today wants from a retailer?
I think it's more than it is. The demand from consumers is more than it's ever been, because I remember thinking about evolving our online pickup in store and before the pandemic to where we are today is so drastically different, because we talked about curbside as being something, oh, we should explore this thing. Well, curbside is a non-negotiable now, right? Like a lot of retailers have to offer it because consumers got used to it, and it is something that it's a convenient way to shop. So, we have quick and easy pickup in stores. We have the small format, which is really the quick and easy way to shop. We do curbside in all of our stores, delivering customers' product directly to home. We have introduced something called Blue Shirt Chat, which is a way to connect with customers online to ask our Blue Shirts what questions around their product or advice on what they should be purchasing. Our remote support team, which does a lot of technical support online, both through phone and chat, the demand has exploded, right? Consumers are looking for easier way to connect with our Geek Sweat agents, right? So, and then connecting with customers that are just looking for, hey, I just want to know more about a product, or just want to get a little bit more understanding online. So we're opening up a lot more avenues to connect with our consumers.
All right, super. So when you look back at the past 2 years, what do you think the key challenges were that Best Buy has overcome?
I think a lot of people had to go through this, but I mean, obviously the challenges have been very similar to everybody else in retail or in general business, right? So constantly adapting and responding to provincial, municipal, and federal health orders and regulations, just understanding them and adapting and evolving how we keep our customers and employees safe was probably the most challenging one, right? So, and then health and well-being of our employees is something that we take very seriously. So, it's not just the fact that, we are there and we provide help, but just from a mental health perspective, how do we support them, right? And even thinking about the communities that are they're in, because it's not just the employees and the customers, but the community itself needs some help. So wherever we could support, whether it is through donations or agents going out and helping set up things, or Blue Shirts helping the local communities, we were really involved and driven in trying to make a difference in those communities. And we constantly kept in touch with our customers through surveys and feedbacks, and the same with employees, just understanding where people are, because it was a long drawn out process, and people were in different stages at different times, and we always had to keep a pulse of where things were. So yeah, so that's kind of how we managed to get through it.
And Phil, what would you say the key lessons as a retailer, especially as a major retailer, has Best Buy learned in the past 2 years or so?
Yeah, it's interesting, Mario. I think as I think about it, you keep hearing a lot about this in different conversations around how consumer change accelerated, right? I mean, we were looking at, like I mentioned before, curbside as one of those trends that is slowly starting to emerge. We said, look, you should keep an eye on this. You should test it out, see how consumers are responding to it. Is this something there is a demand for? And then now it's totally changed, right? So evolution of how consumers adapted technology, how they embraced how you navigate technology has changed. And as a leader in this consumer electronics and retail, we're always looking to move fast, right?
Yeah.
And we have to keep up with the pace of change in consumer electronics, and we continue to think about our long-term strategy and slowly try to adapt things that come up and evolve continuously. And we have a history of being the first. So we were the first retailer in Canada to do reserving products online. And during the pandemic, we had to quickly pivot that from just reserving to collecting payments, so you don't have to do a transaction in the store. And then we were the first brick and mortar to introduce a marketplace concept, right? So extending our inventory position. So as we went through supply chain issues, we had a bigger pool to draw from for our consumers. So not just from our inventory pool, but all the sellers that sell on our marketplace, right? And we were the first Canadian retailer to introduce like a forum for customers to engage with, get reviews, product reviews, and just enrich their knowledge when they're making that purchasing decision, right? And these
Mhm.
are things that that more important than ever, because they provide options in the customer's journey. And as a leading omni-channel retailer, we need to take all of that data set, look at what the consumer trends are starting to form, and then make decisions that will lead us to the next decade of evolution.
All right. How many stores does Best Buy have currently in Canada?
Yeah, so we have 165, just over 165 stores across the country, and which is very close to most of the Canadian population. So as I mentioned previously, our growth is always changing, and in our small format store that I mentioned before is really kind of where we see the potential expansion and growth happening.
Okay, and that's that smaller store concept. So is the only one right now is in Edmonton, correct?
That's correct. So that's our first one, is in Edmonton. It's in Sherwood Park. And the community has embraced it, and they've been very responsive in having a store in that market where they didn't need to drive as far as before. And that's sort of what we are now exploring in other areas of the country. What are the other pockets where we could be viable in having a smaller format box?
Okay, and the last thing I wanted to ask you, Phil, is I know that we've gone through a lot of changes, in the workplace, right? With more and more people working from home, whether it's a full-time position or, whether it's like a hybrid model, as they're saying these days. Now, I understand that Best Buy too has kind of adopted that remote work model, and you're moving into a new head office, or you haven't moved in yet, right?
We just did. So
Oh, you just did.
yes, May 30th is when we officially open the space, our new office, which is just down in Vancouver, closer to our Cambie store. It's on 6th and Cambie in the Mount Pleasant area. So it's a brand new 10-story building. We occupy the top 5. It's about 77,000 square feet. It's a beautiful, beautiful space with a great view, and really centrally located to all the amenities, multiple SkyTrain lines to get into the space. But we're going from our previous space, which was 140,000 square feet. So it's a much smaller space. It is designed differently with the purpose of collaboration, and a lot of desks that are hot desks. So you don't have a dedicated space. You come in when you need it, and we have about 300 desks that are outfitted with all the things that you would need to work. You just come and plug in, and you're ready to go. And we're continuing to adapt and being flexible with our semi-remote work as sort of the permanent way of moving forward, right? So instead of having everybody come in, we just meet whenever you go in when you need to, and mostly to meet with other team members and collaborate. That's really kind of the way we have envisioned this.
All right, so that was great. I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today, Phil.
It was nice meeting you as well, Mario. Have a great day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was Phil Thampy, who is Director of Retail and Service Operations for Best Buy Canada. I'm Mario Toneguzzi with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.